Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Pasolivo's Cooking Kitchen for Kids. I'm Eleanor and welcome. Today we are going to be making meatballs, and this is one of my favorite recipes because we made it so easy for everyone. We basically said hop online, grab this bundle, and all you have to do is add ground turkey and eggs to this and you're set. So super simple, super easy, a great gift for people too. This video is always going to be on Instagram, it's going to be on Facebook, it's going to be on YouTube. So this is something that you can gift somebody and send to somebody if they're kind of getting stuck, because this is the back to school edition of Cooking Cuisine for Kids. So you know what that means is that we're pretending like kids are going back to school, because they're not. They'll be with you, your school. So with that in mind, not only are we going to be doing a bit of cooking, and because this cooking is so easy and a lot of fun and messy and delicious, we're also going to be bringing in some math, some fractions. And the reason I brought in fractions today is because during one of my days at the tasting room, I had a couple teachers come in and do some tasting, and they were fantastic, and we started talking, and one of them said fractions is something that kids even go through high school really getting stumped on. It's never occurred to me that it is such a base staple for learning math and understanding math as it expands and gets into algebra and everything else, but it is such a huge deal. As I started researching it, I realized we as parents really need to be talking about fractions more. So what's amazing is there are so many ways to bring in fractions, whether you're bringing in money, and a quarter being a fourth of a dollar, and that's why it's called a quarter, a fourth, or whether you're bringing in cooking and bringing in the measuring cup, or looking at a clock and looking at 12:30 and what half means versus a 12:15. You have half an hour to finish what you're doing and really bring in fractions in all different formats. Because when you put it down on paper, even when I was researching it, my brain went, nope, we're done here. So I realized that it's something that we really need to start on and bring in early. So that is that portion of it. But first, let's get a little dirty. Kids, go wash your hands. Grown-ups, I always tell the kids to go wash your hands. Grown-ups, I really hope you're washing your hands too. Fingers crossed. Get your hands clean because this is one of those episodes you can get dirty in. So we've got our ground turkey, we've got one egg, we've got, our spicy Italian blend, our garlic salt, roasted garlic salt, the Tuscan balsamic, our classic extra virgin olive oil, original nut crumbs, and our marinara sauce. Do you see what's going on here? See, that's the beauty of it. You just buy the bundle and go. It's super simple. I love that. And it's a lot of things that you can use after this as well. That spicy Italian blend, you know, if you've tasted it before, it's insane. You're going to be using it in a million different ways, and you're also going to get a little addicted to it, and you won't be able to go a week without it. This type of bundle also, if you are thinking and brainstorming about joining the club, there it is. This is your club shipment. Just grab that and call it a day. If you do this twice a year, you're pretty much set. So joining the club is not only a lot of fun, you get recipes, you get recipe books, but also you get discounts on your dinner. So discounts on dinner sounds good, right? Everybody likes a coupon. Okay, let's get messy. So we've got the ground turkey. Make sure it's not frozen. I guess it's too late to tell you that. Defrost it. So it's nice and squishy and malleable, because we're either going to be using our spoons. I'm trying to be fancy. I'm not trying to get all hands in, but I think I might. So this is the fun part. Kids, you ready? we're gonna just basically dump almost everything in. I say almost because we have 1 tablespoon of olive oil that we're going to put onto our pan to cook up and to get those turkey meatballs all nice and browned. So 1 tablespoon of the classic extra virgin olive oil goes in here. The 2nd tablespoon goes in the pan. The reason that I picked the classic, and you can do Tuscan, you can do any of our extra virgin olive oils, Evo for short. You could do our basil olive oil. But that classic has a little bit of a kick. You've got those polyphenols in there. It's got a little bit of that pepper in there, not too much, but just enough to really honor the rest of the flavors. So you've already got the basil in that spicy Italian blend. You've got all of those great Italian flavors together, and that classic, I think, really does a good job of bringing it all together. So that's why I chose the classic today. But if you're kind of searching around the house and looking for an extra virgin olive oil or one of our olive oils, you could use basil, you could use any of the 4 Evos that you have at home, okay? All right, so the egg is going in. And I brought this bowl because, and I'm using this bowl because it has a handle. Whenever I'm doing any cooking with the kiddos, I love the fact that there's a handle on this because when cooking with kiddos, you'll maybe notice a lot of passion in their interaction with the food, and it might go flying. You don't need that passion flying everywhere. So you want to keep it in the bowl, and if you hold on to that while they're getting involved in it, or they hold and use the other hand to smush up, it saves the rest of your kitchen and your meatballs. Okay, so we're gonna get that egg involved in there. We're going to got 2 tablespoons of spicy Italian going in. So it feels like that might be a lot, but that flavor goes through, and turkey is kind of a mild meat. Yeah, you could absolutely do this with a different type of meat. If you were using a beef, for example, I would say cut down on the olive oil that you're putting in, maybe a 1/2 tablespoon, because beef already has a lot more fat to it, which adds to flavor, but with kind of a nod to health, I've brought in the turkey instead. All right, so we're smushing that all in. This is our Tuscan balsamic, and the reason that I'm bringing this in is in place of Worcestershire sauce. So it has that nice kick, it has that nice brightness, a little bit of acidity that we're putting in there. So it's really going to kind of liven up the flavors. And as you well know, if you're a club member, if you've gone to our tasting rooms, our balsamics and vinegars are fantastic. They're all local. They're from Atascadero, so a couple towns over, and really worth checking out. If you've been part of the club and just doing olive oils, branch out. Do this. Do a little bit of this time. See what happens. See what goodness occurs. Okay. Roasted garlic sea salt, so good. That spicy Italian blend does not have any salt with it, which is great for those of you watching your sodium. And if you have friends or family who are watching sodium, then that's a really good gift to give them because it's got a ton of flavor and 0 salt. I, on the other hand, love me some salt and also that roasted garlic flavor, and this is perfection. So there's garlic in that spicy Italian blend. There's also that sweet roasted garlic flavor in the salt. So that's going in there too. And the original nut crumbs. If you guys haven't tried the nut crumbs, we've got 4 different flavors. Italian, original, spicy, and coconut curry. So they're all amazing. I mean, I've actually stopped using any type of panko or breading because this is not only a lot healthier for you, but it browns up beautifully. The mouthfeel is just gorgeous. The flavor, there's a bit more flavor to it. I used original because I'm using that spicy Italian blend in there. So also that means that if you've bought this bundle, you can use this for other things, not just for Italian foods. The original goes across the board. You can even put it in yogurt with honey, but you can use it to bread chicken, to bread fish, to do meatloaf, all kinds of different things. Today, we're putting it in there. So as you can tell, everybody's going in the pool. At this point, when I pre-made these at home, my kids were elbow deep in meatball making, and that is okay. That's part of the fun today, is just getting filthy and just getting everything mushed up, because that means, that ensures that everything is kind of mixing in together beautifully. All right, so I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of our extra virgin olive oil in here. There we go. Yep. That's just gonna, the egg, all going to kind of bind everything together. And we'll start in on the fractions soon. But as you can tell, we've been doing fractions this whole time in the cooking and the measurements. And that's what is important, is the fact that it is in everyday life without us even knowing. I think a lot of us as parents, now that we are doing homeschool and distance learning, are more switched on to learning moments with our kids, and so we're a bit more tuned into pointing things out when we interact with stuff, whether it is the clock or money or cooking. So really get kiddos involved in all of this, talking about every part of this, so that you are getting their brains turned on. I always tell my kids, switch your brain on. Sometimes they wake up and forget to turn it on. So switch your brain on, let's do this. Let's get some math involved without it being sit down, paper and pencil. We all know how we feel about that. Nobody feels awesome about that. Parents don't. I'm not feeling great about it, and the kids certainly don't, because they end up letting me know that. So, all right, this is what we're looking at right here. I am going to, first of all, I've been talking about what directions we're doing. I'm actually going to take this, because once everybody goes in the pool, these are the directions we're following. You can find them online too. You can find this whole recipe and all the bits and pieces online, but this is what we're doing. So we have combined everything. So yeah, we're only on step 2. Step 3 is heating up the tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and then we're going to be forming these guys into about that size. And I ended up feeling like a pound makes about 16. So kids, if you have a family of 4 and there are 16 meatballs, how many does everybody get? Unless you have a dad that eats meatballs and gets to them before you guys do. Evenly. You can draw it out if you want to. Draw all 16 meatballs and figure out how many everybody gets. This is all about fractions. This is about sharing. Fractions are about sharing. Okay, so 4 each. If you've gotten there before. I'm sure you've gotten there before me. And as I chat, guys, if you have any questions about any of this, go ahead, comment, give us thumbs up, let us know that you're with us and that you're kind of cooking along with us. But always, if you have questions, that's why we're doing it live, so that we can stick with you and support you through this whole process. All right, so I'm gonna start warming up our oil here. I'd say medium works out perfectly. This is a tablespoon of our classic extra virgin olive oil. As I've probably told you a million times, we have a high smoke point on all of our extra virgin olive oil. So I'm going to do this so we're coating the whole pan. Alrighty. That's going to coat more as it heats up. Let's get that heat going a little bit. Okay. So our extra virgin olive oils, all of our olive oils have a smoke point of 425. So really high. So that is the beauty of our quality level, is that smoke point is super high, so that you can do cooking with it. You can drizzle it in salads, you can dip it, you can do everything with it. So that's, you don't have to have 16 different oils in your cupboard, because one's for high heat, one's for salads, one's for baking. No, you can do everything with just one. You know, nice, huh? Yeah. So as that's going, we're forming our meatballs. Okay. And kids, I know, this is the fun part, huh? So we're looking at about this size, and I'm just gonna be plopping them in and making sure they've got some olive oil underneath them because that's what's going to brown them. And we're just gonna do about 16 of them. So as we do this, we're gonna start talking about fractions. So I think you've all seen the idea of the pizza, right? You have 8 pieces of pizza and 4 friends. How many does each get? Those are fractions. That's the type of thing that we need to be just covering continuously with our kiddos to make sure that they understand that every time they share something evenly, and this is something you work, if you have more than one kid, you're working on that all the time, sharing evenly. Because I know my kids stand there in front of 2 cups of milk and will squat and one eye it until, because if it's a little bit higher, that's the one they're taking. Not sharing evenly, nope. Survival of the fittest is what that is. Anyway, so we need to bring that sort of stuff in because it is such, it's one of those concepts that a lot of kiddos can't comprehend, and a lot of us as adults, because we weren't taught early on, we can't comprehend. So we need to be bringing it in early on and super low key as they're younger, but just the awareness that it's there is a huge plus, that fractions are around us. It is one of those situations where practice is key. Practical interaction with it. Visuals are huge. In fact, while I was researching, I saw that there was a pool noodle tutorial that you can do. It's on YouTube, and you cut up a pool noodle and you write with a Sharpie the different fractions. So one is a full pool noodle, or this size, and then you cut it into fourths, and you do fourths, and it's pretty fun to be able to interact with it like that, interact with fractions like to that point, so that you have a visual. I mean, you can do it with Legos, you can do it with blocks. They are doing it all the time, they just don't know that they're doing it. And we don't point it out. So the more we can point it out, the better. Okay, so forming. And this is why kids love this, because of the tactile interaction with all of that. That is part of getting in there and getting messy and learning how fun cooking is. I don't know if you guys watch Paula Deen, but I continuously watch her and say she is in there with her hands, it's like up to her wrist in dough, and she's got 9 different rings on and everything, and she's just getting filthy with it. So do it, get in there. That's part of the fun. All right, so I want to make sure that I bring in my fractions made easy reminder. So I'm going to come around. Oh, actually, I think I can do it from here without knocking stuff over. Famous passwords. Okay, there we go. So this is just a few heads up. So the numerator, so that we're all on the same page, because I honestly have forgotten most of this stuff. Oh, those guys are cooking and browning for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put the timer on before I start chatting to you, because start talking. And then all kinds of crazy happens. I want to make sure everybody's good in here. Wiggling around too. Yeah, okay. Good. Oh, sizzle. Okay, so numerator on top, denominator on bottom. One way that we can all remember this, because again, I honestly had forgotten about this, because we don't use these words in day-to-day until we became teachers, which we all are now. Denominator is the bottom number. That is easy to remember, D for down. Denominator is going to be on down below, on the bottom. I always think of the denominator as how many friends you might have that pizza has to share to. You've got 8 friends. How many pieces are we sharing out? You can think about it that way. So practice, application, practical application, experiencing the concept, repetition, those are the keys for learning. These are all different ideas of how to interact with it. And this is coming from, because I was doing this research, this is coming from mathematicians, the Texas Instruments, there you go, mathematicians. A lot of them focused in, and there's a couple doctors that focused in on the fact that fractions are really important for kiddos and something that is lacking. So it was really interesting to have a teacher come to the tasting room and bring that up, and then when I did the research, see that that is something that we really need to be bringing into kids' lives. In cooking, there's nothing but fractions in cooking, so it's kind of exciting to be able to, you know, fill up the measuring cup all the way to 1. Wait a second, what if we didn't have all of those easy measuring cups, the half, the quarter, the 3/4? Let's get a visual on what that looks like versus a full cup. So you can do it in a million different ways. So obviously around 2nd, 3rd grade, they're dealing with money and working with money. They're dealing with clocks and working with clocks and what that looks like. So there are a ton of ways to start slowly bringing fractions in before we start adding fractions and dividing fractions and that sort of thing, because that's when my brain starts melting out of my ears, but that's because I'm not really a math person. So I'm trying to help my kiddos from having their brain melt out their ears like me. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're doing all of this. We're browning one side of the meatballs. We're going to be flipping them, browning the other side of the meatballs, then putting in our sauce, our marinara sauce, and letting it all kind of simmer together. If you have a meat thermometer, keep that handy. We're looking for around 165 for the internal temperature of the turkey meatballs to make sure that they are healthy. We don't need anything else out here in the world not being healthy. So if you have one, go grab one and bring it to the side. Kids love poking things and things, so they'll be all over that. I'm going to check on this. Let's see, I have about a minute left. I'm going to check to see where we're at browning-wise. Perfect. I'm going to start flipping. I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I also started my timer a little later. This is a meal that you can serve just by itself, or you can serve it with pasta, garlic bread. You can make it into a meatball sub. My favorite, one of my favorite is zoodles. Do you guys know about those? Those are zucchini noodles. It's the swirly zucchini dealie. And I love zoodles. I think because I'm one of those eaters that I'm like, hey, I can have more because they're not as filling, so my whole plate is just full. But this is turkey meatballs and zoodles, and a fresh marinara type sauce is, I mean, perfection. I'm going to switch this up again, make sure the other side is all browned. So this is our artichoke and olive marinara sauce. From here, I don't know if this is going to be flipped or not. So I'm letting you know the side isn't flipped. I know that when we're doing our our chats with chefs and everything, that everything's switched. I don't know if it is today. So I'm reading it for you too. Artichoke and olive marinara. It is fantastic. It is fresh. If you have family over that doesn't know you're cooking, tell them it's homemade, because it totally tastes homemade. And it's really fresh and light and low in sugars in comparison to some of the store-bought stuff. Check out the sugars in the store-bought stuff. I'm not against sugar, but I want it in my cheesecake and not in my marinara sauce. I don't want it snuck in. That's sneaky. That's not nice. If you're gonna give me sugars, I want it in dessert format. So it is a healthier option than some of that store-bought stuff, and just fantastic. So this is one of those marinara sauces that you're gonna buy and be like, why am I trying other stuff? Good for pastas, again, meatloaf, any type of crock pot Italian meal that you're making. All right, so browning this side, keeping it going, making sure my blending's good. All right, yes. We covered the fractions, right? The numerator, denominator, good. Everybody's like 10 times smarter now from hanging out with me. That rarely happens. There we go. So we'll go back to, I'll put this down, that is all of these bits and pieces and the directions. So we are down to adding the marinara sauce. We have 5 more minutes. I said simmer for 10. So you guys might be on your own for the last 5 minutes. Don't mess it up. I'm just kidding. So we're gonna dump this guy in here, making sure to cover all of them. But also what I ended up doing was taking this jar, filling it like a quarter. Hey, guess what a quarter is? A fraction. Doing a little bit of there's a lot of goodness still in here. And this helps with the recycling. So, and you know, you're cleaning the jar. I mean, this is a no-brainer. So take this and also put this in. And that is so when, as you're simmering, your sauce doesn't thicken up to the point that it's disappeared. So we're gonna simmer for 10 minutes and or until that internal temperature. So we're keeping that, we're going, yes, perfect. So we're gonna simmer those guys in there. Come on over, check it out. So this is basically just like the picture was. Delicious browned meatballs. They're gonna sit there, bubble up for a little bit and really get some toastiness and warm deliciousness. This is something that you can eat tomorrow, you can eat today. We had leftovers and they were still fantastic the next day. I actually don't know how because we added it with pasta. So that gets filling. But we could have probably just killed those turkey meatballs all by themselves if they had just been like that. So it is always a pleasure to be with you guys. Every single Friday we're hanging out with you because we are thinking about you, parents and people with children. We know that this was supposed to be back to school, and it's not, but it is. Happy August. And because of you guys, we're gonna be working with a distiller. Next Friday, we're doing cocktails. You guys know how fun that is to be working with distillers. They're adding spirits to our olive oils, to our vinegars. It is so much fun to watch that magic happen. The passion with these distillers, all local. This time we're working with Crowbar Distillery. Their spirits are fantastic. They have a pink gin that is out of this world. And they are going to show us some magic. We have not got the recipes yet, so keep on us. Remember, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, watch our Facebook, not only for these recipes, but for other recipes as well. And you're going to get all of that information between now and next Friday. 2 o'clock next Friday, we are going to, so that's the 14th, we're going to be with Crowbar Distillery. So we are super looking forward to it. I know we're all gonna need a cocktail because it's school starting again. So we are thinking about you guys. All right, have a fantastic rest of your day. It was a pleasure as always. Take care of yourselves and happy weekend. Bye guys.